Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi is set to present his first State of the Province address today. It's happening at around 5 o'clock this afternoon. Opposition parties have called on the Premier to prioritise the fight against corruption and the high levels of crime. They've also called on him to bring a solid plan for the economic recovery in Gauteng and solutions to vulnerable areas that have been hit by floods. For more on this, we're joined by DA Gauteng leader Solly Msimanga. Solly, great to see you. Thanks very much for coming on. Suffice to say, excuse me, insofar as the state of the province is concerned, there is a lot that should be at the top of Panyaza Lesufi's agenda when he addresses this afternoon.
Well, indeed. Thank you very much, Michelle. Good morning to you and good morning to the viewers at home. We're hoping that Panyaza is not going to use today as another grandstanding opportunity, but to actually then give a report in terms of what has actually been done in the province of Gauteng. We're hoping that he'll talk to a date when the e-tolls will be finally scrapped and the methodology that will be used to then refund the people. I can tell you right now that there's not going to be any new money in terms of the so-called refunding of e-toll refunds that people will be receiving. Also, we want Panyaza to be talking about what is actually then the state in terms of readiness to deal with issues of electricity, in terms of dealing with issues of water in the province. We know that the issue of electricity is not really a provincial responsibility, but that of a national and a local government. But we do believe that, a caring provincial government should be the coordinator and also, an enabler to ensuring that we do get to having independence from the Eskom debacle that we find ourselves in at this point in time. These are some of the things that we hope that he will be able to talk to.
Yeah, and Solly, we're hoping for less talk and more action, right? Given just how difficult the situation is around the country, given the perilous position that Gauteng is in insofar as the economic hub of South Africa is concerned, what we want to hear is concrete plans with timeframes and timeframes for report backs as well.
Well, yes, that's what we want to hear. We want to hear, how are we going to deal with the issues of crime in Gauteng. It is very shocking that last year only 50 vehicles across the whole province were budgeted for the South African police services. We need more than that. We need to then know what is going to be done in places like El Dorado Park, in areas that now gangsterism seems to be, taking, people's life into ransom. In El Dorado Park and surrounding areas like that. We want to know, again, what is to be done when we're talking about the economic transformation. Now, we know that in Gauteng there was the township economic bill that had actually been passed, but that hasn't translated into anything meaningful. We want to know what are the plans. We don't want to hear of the so-called state bank because that is actually going to be a duplication of what already exists in terms of what we call the Gauteng economic propeller that needs to be actually then tasked to do its work and actually then be empowered to deliver on its mandate instead of now introducing something additional like a state-owned bank, which is not going to do what we need now to be done, and that is to make sure that those that are wanting to start businesses, those that are economically excluded, are actually then included into the mainstream. And this is something that we're hoping that he will have a clear plan on. But as things stand, we're thinking that what we're going to hear today is just more jargon, more empty promises, and actually more grandstanding that is not going to lead us anywhere.
Well, I do hope, for the sake of all of us, that you are proven wrong today, Solly, insofar as the corruption issue is concerned around the country, and again, particularly in Gauteng. That's another issue we're hoping to hear something from the Premier about. What would you, insofar as how he addresses the issue of corruption and the protection of whistleblowers, Babita Deokaran, as we know, paying the ultimate price insofar as corruption in the healthcare system in the province is concerned. What might he say on that issue that would inspire confidence?
Well, Michelle, the Babita story is a very sad one because things are as documented as you could ever dream to find. And we're seeing very slow movement in terms of dealing with this particular case, which then tells us that there is actually lack of enthusiasm when it comes to dealing with corruption, especially when it involves comrades. And this is something that has to be dealt with decisively if we are to really put Gauteng on a path to a recovered province and a province that is actually prosperous. These are some of the things that we have been saying. There's a lot of reports that are outstanding that we have, that David Makura before Panyaza Lesufi have been sidestepping because some of his own colleagues are actually implicated in some of the reports. And this is why they never see the time of the day. And this is, again, we are going to be pushing and we're hoping that he will be not only talking to that, but he will actually then also act decisively in dealing with officials and also politicians that are implicated in corrupt activities, and that we will then see people that have been implicated jail. It cannot be that, we are only given snippets time and time again of, cases, but not really seeing them to their final conclusion. And this is something that has to come to an end. We need to see officials in orange overalls. We need to see politicians in orange overalls. And we need to make sure that going forward, officials and also politicians that are responsible for running government are actually then taken to task and actually even vetted. And actually, then lifestyle audits are done on them to make sure that we don't have people that are corrupt, people that are incompetent in offices leading this particular government here in Gauteng. It's something that we have been asking for, something that we hope that he will talk to as well. But again, we have seen even before him that people would talk a good game but not implement anything that they say that they would.
You've talked about the issue of police vehicles, gangsterism and drugs in areas like Eldorado Park in Johannesburg. It's all linked, right? The issue of the crime rate here in Gauteng and around the country as well. The police minister releasing shocking statistics showing massive increases in almost all indices insofar as the crime statistics are concerned. There's no way that we can get Gauteng back on the map economically if it's not safe to live here.
Well, true. I mean, you're now talking an additional 81 people murdered every day in South Africa. And you find that majority of those are actually here in Gauteng. And when we spoke last year, we said that the availability of resources, to police stations, the upgrading of police stations themselves. I mean, in Garankuwa, as an example, it was shocking that a police station had gone for a year without electricity. People are not able to communicate. The policemen are not able to then communicate. The 10111 line is not actually working from time to time. And when it is working, you find that police are not able to then respond adequately because they don't have resources. This is something that we have been saying that we need to then ensure that gets to be addressed. It cannot be that only 50 vehicles are actually then budgeted for and bought in the whole province of Gauteng. Whereas we are in need of, hundreds of police vehicles. We are in need of more policemen and women recruited, trained, and continuously trained. We are in need of, ensuring that we do have a GBV specialized officers. Right now, if you go to certain police stations, Michelle, you'll find that you'll be told that there's no an official that will be able to deal with you if you happen to be unfortunately raped or harassed as a victim. You'll be told to come the very next day during office hours, as we would have found out in a number of police stations around Gauteng. This is something that has to be addressed as a matter of urgency. If we're serious about fighting the scourge of crime and GBV, if we're serious about fighting the scourge of gangsterism, we need to then make sure that We train enough policemen and women. We have enough resources to allocate to these men and women on the ground, and to ensure that we bring the issues of crime and violence, to a halt. But as things stand right now, we haven't seen any movement in the right direction in that regard by the provincial government.
Solly Msimanga.
In fact, at a national level, we've had, Minister. Yes, ma'am.
I apologize. We are out of time for this interview, but I think your point is very well made. Let me thank you for joining us on the AM Report. DA Gauteng leader Solly Msimanga weighing in there as we build up to Panyaza Lesufi's inaugural State of the Province address scheduled for later today. The opposition weighing in there.